It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, March 16th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Showers this morning, steady rain this afternoon, the high going to be 60. And then tonight and overnight, thunderstorms, low 36. Tuesday, the sun reappears, high 43. If you're walking out the door with us right now, it's 45 and raining in New City up in Rockland County, 47 and raining in Patterson over in New Jersey, and it's 52 and raining right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
Drone attacks across the Arab world overnight. An attack turns deadly down below at Penn Station. What's with all the dead birds out on Long Island? The push to reopen Indian Point nuclear plant grows, and some surprise winners at the Oscars last night. Let's start overseas. Overnight, authorities in the UAE say drone-related incidents sparked a fire near the Dubai airport. This was another drone attack also reported in an industrial area not too far away. U.S. and Israeli forces continued to bombard Iran, hitting cities including Tehran, Hamadan, as Iranian counterattacks continue. And they've still got some firepower, with damage reported in a number of Israeli cities this morning. The Israeli military says its Air Force overnight dismantled the aircraft that was used by Iran's late supreme leader in a precise strike, they say, at the airport in the capital city of Tehran. Last night, the president, talking to reporters aboard Air Force One, says Iran's military is all but defeated now.
I just say they're decimated, but I think that we've done damage to them right now. If we left right now, it would take them 10 years and more to rebuild.
Now, the president says he's not ready to claim victory just yet.
I'm demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory, because it is their territory. It's the place from which they get their energy.
Yeah, so that background noise, of course, is the airplane. The president did talk a little bit about oil prices as well.
The prices are going to come tumbling down as soon as it's over, and it's going to be over pretty quickly.
And a little bit later this morning, the president expected to announce an international coalition of escort oil tankers and other commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations says conversations ongoing with countries to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Mike Wall's making the comments on CNN yesterday.
And we certainly welcome, encourage, and even demand their participation to help their own economies.
The president took to social media over the weekend, posting that the UK, China, France, other countries should send warships to the narrow strait near Iran to make sure their oil tankers can get through.
The U.S. military will continue to pound the Iranian military, their missile, boat, and drone forces to keep the straits open.
Now, this has all come after Iran's new leader has vowed to block the Strait of Hormuz in response to the ongoing attacks by the U.S. and Israel. Energy Secretary Chris Wright, he took to the news shows yesterday as well, so expects the war in Iran to come to an end in the next few weeks. He says the American people will see a rebound in oil supplies, and he says that will push the price back down.
We were very aware that we would have short-term disruption. We would cause a little bit of increased prices on Americans.
Yeah, I noticed it over the weekend. I filled up the tank over the weekend. It was a lot. It was the most I'd paid in a long time. AAA says the current price for regular gas in the U.S. averages about $3.70 a gallon. It's a little bit higher in New Jersey. That's up around 25 cents from last week.
Yeah, I think that this conflict will certainly come to the end in the next few weeks. Could be sooner than that, but the conflict will come to the end in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and that tank of gas, though, was a lot. The State Department offering a $10 million reward for information on Iranian leaders as the conflict continues.
Through its Rewards for Justice division, the State Department says it's seeking information on the key leaders of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and its component branches. The notice on the reward lists new Iranian Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei, the son of former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. In his first public message since being appointed, Khamenei warned that he would avenge the blood of those who were killed during the strikes. I'm Scott Carr in Washington.
And the FCC threatening to pull broadcaster licenses over alleged inaccurate Iran war report.
FCC Chairman Brendan Carr wrote on X Saturday that, quote, broadcasters that are running hoaxes and news distractions have a chance to correct course before their license renewals come up. Carr linked to President Trump's Truth Social post, in which the president singled out a news story first published by the Wall Street Journal about an Iranian strike on 5 Air Force refueling planes in Saudi Arabia. Trump claimed it was, quote, intentionally misleading. I'm Jim Forbes.
Okay, coming up after 5:30, we're going to hear from some local Iranians, a lot of them actually unwilling to show their face at a protest over the weekend, but they're talking about what it's like back home. We'll hear from them after 5:30. Let's bring it back home at 5:05. 6 were hurt too critically. Massive fire Sunday in Brooklyn. Flames erupted in a 3-story home, Conklin Avenue in Canarsie, producing huge flames, towering plumes of black smoke.
The engine companies made a aggressive push in with the hand lines, knocking down the fire.
Yeah, Assistant Fire Chief Kevin Thomas there says it took 150 firefighters nearly 2 hours to battle that blaze. 4 residents hurt, including 2 who reportedly are fighting for their lives this morning. 2 firefighters, they suffered minor injuries. Red Cross is helping the 11 people that were displaced by that fire. No word what caused it all. 5:06, police say it was a former worker at Memorial Sloan Kettering in Manhattan who's in custody after dropping off a bag in the hospital lobby over the weekend that created what he claimed was a bomb. Cops say it happened around noon at the hospital on York Avenue. Daily News reports there was a note attached to the bag that said it was a bomb inside. Police, of course, swarming the building after investigating, and they discovered it was actually a bag that was full of cement. It was not a bomb, thank God. Cops located that former employee, and they arrested him on Sunday. WABC News Time 5:08, a New Jersey man under arrest after a fellow rider was found dead on a subway platform at Penn Station over the weekend. Police found the 55-year-old victim unconscious in the northbound waiting area for the C&E trains. This was about 7 p.m. on Saturday night. On Sunday, police say 21-year-old Nasir Tate of Hillside, he's from Hillside, New Jersey, arrested on the charge of assault. They didn't give us a lot of details of what took place there, but there was some sort of fight. The victim was taken to Lenox Hospital in critical condition, and he passed away yesterday. Victim's identity has not been released. 2 teenagers, a construction worker recovering after getting hurt in a gas line explosion in Newark.
Officials say utility workers fixing a water line on Magazine Street at around noon hit a gas line by mistake. The explosion took out the front facade of a private house. ABC 7 reports the kids who live in the house that was damaged suffered injuries to their face and head. They're expected to be okay. Meantime, the Red Cross is helping out the people who were evacuated. I'm Lisa Salvati.
New Jersey Department of Transportation is set to kick off its annual pothole repair campaign today. Now, the rain may delay that a little bit. The goal is targeting the damage that's been left behind by, of course, what has been a really harsh winter. Boy, some of the potholes are incredible. But, you know, it's interesting. I was on 78 in New Jersey over the weekend, going out to Bedminster, and I don't know, was it Bedminster? I don't remember the town. Anyway, we were going out for dinner for a party. But we were on 78, and I noticed how smooth it was. And then when I was on the turnpike, I noticed how many potholes there were.
Everywhere you go, drivers are going almost like a sobriety test because they're trying to avoid each and every hole that's around here.
State transportation officials say they expect to repair more potholes this year than they did last year. That's because of just the wet, snowy roads and the big potholes that are just about everywhere.
Absolutely. I drive on the turnpike each day, and there is quite a bit of it there.
Now, so you may not see it today again because of what's supposed to rain all day, but drivers will see these lane closures on major roadways while crews make these repairs.
Patches are just like, a little temporary fix. I think the roads have to be permanently paved.
Yeah, I think that may be accurate for some of the damage that you see out there. 5:11. Let's go out to Michigan. We're getting more details on this man who tried to do harm inside a synagogue right outside Detroit. The FBI says the Lebanese man who drove his truck into a synagogue near Detroit last week died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Ghazali's vehicle, his engine compartment catches on fire, and at some point during the gunfight, Ghazali suffers a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head.
Yeah, so that 41-year-old Ayman Muhammad Ghazali, born in Lebanon, emigrated to the U.S. in 2011. His truck was carrying a large amount of fireworks, now being told, along with jugs of gasoline.
Ghazali and the first security officer engage in a gunfight through the rear window of Ghazali's vehicle. And at this point, Ghazali is unable to extract himself due to the vehicle being jammed in the hallway. In the bed of the truck, we found large quantities of commercial-grade fireworks and several jugs of flammable liquid we believe to be gasoline, some of which has been consumed in the fire.
Okay, so he had posted online the night before that several of his relatives had been killed in an Israeli airstrike in southern Lebanon the week before. So Ghazali's relative who was killed, we're now being told, was a Hezbollah commander. That's what the Israeli Defense Forces are saying. His brother, Ibrahim Ghazali, what the Israelis say, was responsible for weapons operations, and it was his unit that was responsible for launching hundreds of rockets towards Israeli civilians throughout the recent war with Iran. So they say they had to take him out. So Ghazali's two brothers, a niece and a nephew, were killed in an Israeli airstrike on March 5th. The family apparently had sat down for their fast-breaking meal during the holiday of Ramadan when they were hit. Ghazali himself, the one involved in the Detroit synagogue thing, was allowed to the U.S. in 2011 as a spouse of a U.S. citizen. 5:13. It was a winter storm that's been hitting the upper Midwest, and it's been called historic. It started Saturday, and apparently it's going to continue into today.
The National Weather Service says a winter storm system rolling across Minnesota, Wisconsin, and upper Michigan could dump up to 2 feet of snow through Monday, potentially making it one of the largest snowstorms of all time. The forecast calls for blizzard conditions overnight into Monday, with winds reaching 50 to 60 miles an hour, creating whiteout conditions. Forecasters urge those in the path of the storm to stay off the roads as travel could become life-threatening. I'm Scott Carr.
Yeah, one of the plow truck drivers ended up in my TikTok this morning, and it looked like they were shoveling and pushing away a ton of snow, and that was in Minnesota. 5:14, meanwhile, in the Southwest, this is much better. I would take this over snow. Millions bracing for a heat wave now.
The National Weather Service says the Los Angeles area will be hit with an extremely rare long-duration heat wave starting Monday, with temperatures up to 35 degrees above normal, lasting possibly through Friday. The heat wave could break daily high temperature records across the region and could set some all-time records for the month of March. The extreme heat will hit Arizona later in the week, when afternoon highs in the Phoenix area could hit the triple digits, possibly breaking a March record. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Okay, in a moment, we will head out to the airports where we saw some really long security lines over the weekend. TSA workers are now officially not getting a paycheck thanks to the partial government shutdown, and we're seeing more of them quit, or more of them just don't show up for work because they're not getting a paycheck. We'll get into that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Monday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Monday. Good morning to you, Noam Layden. We'll start here at the Garden. Jalen Brunson had 30 points, 9 assists. The Knicks rallied from a 21-point deficit against a patchwork Golden State lineup to beat the Warriors 110-107. Karl Anthony Towns had 17 and 12. OG Anunoby and Jordan Clarkson both had 14 points. Knicks took a while to wake up in their return home from a 5-game road trip before eventually picking up their third straight victory. They led briefly in the opening minutes of the game and then not again until the final minutes of the third quarter. Up next for the Knicks, they'll host the Indiana Pacers tomorrow. And the Nets, they're back at it tonight back in Brooklyn. They'll welcome in the Portland Trailblazers. That is a 7:30 p.m. tip-off there. Head to college basketball and selection Sunday. Duke took the overall top seed with Arizona, Michigan, and defending champion Florida also on the top line after the first four. The full slate of games begins Thursday and Friday with the national champion set to be crowned in Indianapolis on April 6th. The favorite to win the tournament, according to DraftKings, is Duke, which was listed at plus 300 odds as of last night, just a tad ahead of Michigan at plus 360. St. John's stayed where it's been predicted most of the season as a number 5 seed, even after a 20-point win over UConn for the Big East title on Saturday. They'll play 12 seed Northern Iowa in their first-round matchup come Friday. LIU and Hofstra are your other two local squads.
Yeah, so Hofstra plays Alabama, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's going to be a tough one. And then even worse for LIU, they're the 16th seed, so they're playing... who are they playing? Arizona? Maybe?
Yeah, I think they're playing Arizona. You nailed that one.
Oh my God, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean,
sometimes we've seen the 1-16 upsets that happen. So, but I don't think it's going to be LIU pulling that off.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't put your money on that one.
Yeah.
No, but we're looking forward to the start of the tournament. Hey, now March Madness coming at you very, very soon. World Baseball Classic in Miami. United States closer Mason Miller lifted his arms in jubilation, celebrating a 2-1 victory over the Dominican Republic that sent the U.S. to the championship game, where it will await tonight's winner between Italy and Venezuela. Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony went deep in the fourth, hitting 2 balls a combined 821 feet to give the Americans a lead that they would not surrender. That was a game jam-packed with superstars. Cool to watch, definitely a few innings, but low scoring, good pitching, and the U.S. on into the championship game. And 2 hockey games to look forward to tonight as well, both 7 p.m. puck drops. Devils will welcome in the Bruins, and the Rangers, they'll host the L.A. Kings. That is your Sports Now, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:19. We saw long security lines snaking through airports across the country. Not really the big 3 area airports. It wasn't terrible out of Newark, LaGuardia, and Kennedy over the weekend, but in places across the country, people were waiting for a couple hours to get through the security line. And this is all because TSA workers who are considered essential employees have to keep working amid this partial shutdown, even though Friday was the first day they did not get a paycheck. Now, the paycheck they got 2 weeks before that was only 30% of their pay. So when you hear that, you start to understand, well, hey, maybe these people are going to look for other jobs. And in fact, more than 300 TSA employees have quit since this shutdown has begun. And you have maybe hundreds more who are just not showing up for work because they're looking for other jobs to get pay. One of those workers, he spoke to ABC over the weekend, and he said, I went through that government shutdown back in the fall, and he said it was a desperate time for my family. So he said, when this partial government shutdown began, he said, I just quit. I had enough.
We had depleted all of our savings.
Yeah, so he said his wife, he's got a number of kids. He said, I couldn't do it again. So he went out and he's found another job. So he's one of those 300 that have quit.
And seeing my wife, how she much struggled trying to keep up with how she was going to feed our kids. It was a big toll on her and her emotions.
And who can blame them? Democratic lawmakers have delayed Republican efforts to pass this new bill to fund DHS after expressing concerns over how the embattled agency has handled immigrant enforcement across the country. There's no sign that this is ending anytime soon. Meanwhile, I should point out, the CEOs of the major airlines coming together, making some comments saying it's so irresponsible of the lawmakers in Washington to continue this thing, and then they're making it miserable for flyers, which they were. I saw these lines. There was one airport, I want to say it was in Texas, where the line was so long for TSA, it snaked out of the airport over the weekend. That people were standing in line outside the airport because the line went back so long because they couldn't get enough workers in on those TSA lines. And you think about just security-wise, that's not a good thing either. 5:21 down to Washington, where Senate Republicans expected to bring the Save America Act to the floor for a vote at some point this week. The president ramping up the heat on Senate Majority Leader John Thune to get this thing done.
I think he's a wonderful person, I do. But he seems to be Not that he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't think he can do it. And that's bad. I mean, how can you not get voter ID approved? How can you not get citizenship approved?
But Senator Thune apparently says he doesn't think there's enough votes to beat that 60-vote threshold needed to pass the voter ID measure. Thune has so far resisted pressure from the president and some of his fellow Republicans to either suspend the filibuster or force Democrats into talking about a filibuster.
It's called the Save America Act, and it's exactly that. It's voter ID. It's proof of citizenship. It's no mail-in ballots, which are horrible. They are so corrupt.
Democrats are united in opposition, though, arguing that requiring ID would disenfranchise millions of voters. 522 out to California. Riverside, California authorities talking about this week-long anti-human trafficking operation called Operation Safe Return has safely rescued dozens of teenagers. Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco says some of the 37 rescued teenagers had become victims of child sex trafficking in California and sex assault. And now a lot of them are hopefully going back home.
Our sex trafficking is through hotels or events or things like that. Apps online.
Yeah, it is amazing how many we've seen of these over the last couple months down in Florida. It was upon dozens of teenagers that were rescued. This one, the minors ages 14 to 17 were located in Riverside County, Northern California, Nevada, Arizona. 7 arrests were made. All of the missing kids came from California.
All of the kids had something to do with Riverside County. They were missing from Riverside County.
Yeah.
This is a massive problem that we have, not just in California, but our entire country.
Yeah, well, good job done by the Riverside County police force there bringing those kids home. 523, the Justice Department is suing California over an electric vehicle mandate that it says violates federal law. It's an issue that President Trump has been focused on for quite a long time.
It has to do with the California Auto Regulation, CRA. It's been a disaster.
Yeah, so he signed legislation last year that overturned a plan to phase out new gasoline-powered vehicles in California by the year 2035, but some of those rules do remain in place. A spokesperson for California Governor Gavin Newsom called the lawsuit meritless and says the state will not back down against the president.
It's had us tied up in knots for years. They'd passed these crazy rules in California. We officially rescue the U.S. auto industry from destruction by terminating the California electric vehicle mandate.
But California pushing back against that. 524 coming up in the business week ahead. The Fed due to announce a decision on interest rates.
The central bank is widely expected to hold its benchmark interest rate unchanged when it wraps up a 2-day meeting on Wednesday. Fed Chair Jerome Powell will hold a press conference following the announcement. His remarks will be coming just days after a federal judge blocked subpoenas served against him by the Justice Department related to a renovation management probe. This all comes as President Trump has continued to pressure Powell to more aggressively lower interest rates. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
WABC News Time 525. The State Department now going to cut fees that Americans pay to renounce their U.S. citizenship.
Under a new rule that went into effect on Friday, the fee was lowered by nearly 80%, bringing the cost down from over $2,300 to $450. The State Department said in the rule that it lowered the fee as a policy decision to reduce the cost burden on people seeking a certificate of loss of nationality. The department estimates nearly 5,000 people apply each year for the certificate to renounce their citizenship. I'm Jim Forbes.
All right, let's go down to Georgia, where just this awful story. So charges have been dropped for some teenagers who were involved in a prank that led to the death of one of their teachers. They were toilet papering his house when things unfortunately went horribly wrong.
Jason Hughes was killed last Friday when teens toilet paper rolled trees in his yard. As the teens were driving away, Hughes slipped on wet asphalt and was hit by a pickup driven by student Jaden Wallace. Wallace was initially charged with vehicular homicide, but after meeting with family members and investigators, DA Lee Dara has opted to drop charges. Hughes' family was in support of dropping charges, calling the incident an accidental tragedy.
Yeah, geez.
I'm Scott Kimbler.
What a horrendous story.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Monday, March 16th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Going to see some showers this morning. Steady rain this afternoon. The high going to be 60. And then tonight and overnight thunderstorms, low 36. The sun reappears for Tuesday, the high 43. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. It's 45 raining in New City up in Rockland County, 47 and raining in Patterson over in New Jersey, and it's 52 and raining right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 541. Joel Nolan's been covering this accident all morning. 2 people killed, several others injured in a crash. This was the Southern State Parkway about 10:15 last night. That's what state police are telling us. The accident happened just eastbound side, just west of exit 17. That's Malvern. 2 people pronounced dead at the scene. Other occupants were taken to area hospitals for treatment. We don't know the extent of their injuries. Now, if you were awake late last night, overnight, I mean, the rain was coming down really hard. It was really windy. We don't know if that had anything to do with this accident. Parkway was closed during the investigations, but lanes are reopening this morning. But just a horrible story out of Long Island. While we're out there, a better one, but just a crazy story. A woman's been arrested after she was apparently drunk behind the wheel, crashed into a home in Long Island. This was in Central Islip about 2 a.m. Sunday morning. The driver plowed into the home, barreled through the front, landed a few feet away from one of the kids' bedrooms. There were a number of kids in this home, some parents too. Everybody was sleeping when this accident happened around 2 a.m.
He said, call 911. A car crashed into our house. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's a rude awakening. Suffolk County police say Estefany De Jesus, she's 30 years old, was driving on Birch Grove Drive when she lost control of her BMW, left the roadway, crashed into the home. And apparently when she was in the home, I don't know if this was the case, but maybe she was so intoxicated she continued to push the gas. So the car went further into the home. The family, they were in the process of renovating their kitchen, and that's where she hit into. The gas stove was disconnected. And they say, thank God it was, because this thing could have been a whole lot worse.
She was saying that her boyfriend was following her. She was screaming. I told her, calm down, calm down.
So the best part of this story is nobody was hurt. De Jesus was charged with DWI.
The gas pipe is here. It was bent. If there was like the kitchen working, everything would explode.
Yeah.
Material, we can fix it, we can get it back, but our life, that's more important than that.
I think that's the right way to think about it. And then just a runaway cab here in the city, and there's video of this. It's so intense. This runaway cab, not a crab, a runaway cab crashed into 2 women on the Lower East Side yesterday. This was along Rivington Street, right near Essex Street. So these 2 women are walking along the sidewalk. They stop to point at something, and at moment, a cab mows them down. One of the women ended up in the basement of this bodega that they were standing in front of. The other near the produce. This woman, or this man, saw it all play out.
I was eating right next door. 2 girls were walking. This cab lost control, hit the 2 girls. One girl fell to the right of the cab. The other girl fell down through the basement.
Yes, so a woman named Brianna, she was one of the passengers in the cab, and she said it was crazy.
Everything was normal, and then all of a sudden, we hit the flower shop. We had no idea what happened, and then came out. We saw someone was on the ground. We saw someone was under the car.
Yeah, so witnesses say one woman got knocked over. She was lying on the pavement. The other one was thrown down to the bodega's basement through an opening on the street. Now, the amazing part of this story is neither of them were seriously hurt. Like, they're going to be okay. But when you see this crash, you say, there's no way.
It's crazy. Like, I was actually talking to the girl. Her name was Dina. in the basement on the other side of the taxi because her friend said, "Have you saw my friend?" So we tried calling her name, and then we heard a little whisper, "I'm right here, I'm right here." And then we went around the other side, and we were talking to her through the basement until we told the police that that's where she was at.
Yeah, the FDNY telling us this morning that 3 people in all went to the hospital. They're, thank God, all expected to be okay. In a moment, we'll head over to Midtown, where there was an anti-Iranian regime protest in Midtown, and we'll tell you why these people were hiding their faces. We'll do that in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Start here on the hardwood at the Garden. Jalen Brunson had 30 points and 9 assists, and the Knicks rallied from a 21-point deficit against the patchwork Golden State lineup to beat the Warriors 110-107. Up next for the Knicks, they'll host the Indiana Pacers tomorrow. The Nets, they're back at it tonight in Brooklyn. They'll welcome in Portland Trailblazers for a 7:30 p.m. start there. Head to college basketball on Selection Sunday. Duke took the overall top seed with Arizona, Michigan, and defending champion Florida also on the top line. And after the first 4, the full slate of games begins Thursday and Friday with the national champion set to be crowned in Indianapolis on April 6th. The favorite to win the national championship, according to DraftKings, is Duke, which was listed at plus 300 odds as of last night, just a tad ahead of Michigan at plus 360. St. John's stayed where it's been predicted most of the season as a number 5 seed, even after a 20-point win over UConn for the Big East title on Saturday. They'll play 12-seed Northern Iowa in their first-round matchup come Friday. LIU and Hofstra are the 2 local area squads that have made it into the tournament.
Who do you have in your bracket? You filled it out?
I haven't made one yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got to make one today.
Who do you think? Who would you pick to win this whole thing?
I mean, right now, listen, I don't watch a ton of college basketball, so you got to go with the chalk. I'm going with Duke right now.
Okay.
But I'll fill out a couple brackets and see how my fingers are feeling and where luck takes me, because I have no idea what I'm doing.
I watched the Michigan-Purdue game.
Yeah.
And Purdue just, basically handled them. And I thought, this Michigan team is not as good as everybody says they are.
Well, they're a 1 seed.
Yeah. They're going to get knocked out early. That's my prediction.
Right? I mean, if you're losing to Purdue. But the committee seems to think still on that top line. So we'll see. Starting Thursday and Friday, that's when your action gets going. World Baseball Classic out in Miami. The United States celebrated in jubilation after their 2-1 victory over the Dominican Republic that sent them to the championship game, where they'll await tonight's winner between Italy and Venezuela. Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony were responsible for those 2 runs for the United States, hitting 2 home runs in the 4th, 2 long ones at that. Give the Americans a lead they wouldn't surrender. And 2 hockey games to look forward to tonight, both 7 p.m. puck drops. Devils will welcome in the Bruins, and the Rangers will host the Kings. That is your Sports Know, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:50. NYPD continues to look for the killer of a 36-year-old man who was shot 3 blocks away from his Queens home.
Police say it happened at around 8 o'clock in the evening on 55th Avenue in Corona. The victim, identified by police as Jairo Javier Vinces Cobena, was shot multiple times. He was taken to Elmhurst Hospital in critical condition and later died. No word yet on the events leading up to the killing. In New York, I'm Lisa Salvati.
Outside the Metropolitan Museum of Art yesterday, there were Iranian protesters, people who were hoping for regime change back in their home country. A fair amount of them said they covered up because they're worried, they have family members who are still back in Iran, that if pictures of them protesting and calling for regime change here might get back there, their loved ones could be in trouble. But they wanted to be out there to say they support what the U.S. and Israeli governments are doing in Iran.
We are doing whatever we can to get rid of that regime. We are here doing our best to be the voice of Iranians who are suppressed under the Ayatollahs.
You know, it was so interesting. One of the people that was there yesterday was the last surviving son of the Shah. He was part of this protest that took place yesterday outside the Museum of Modern Art.
Everyone here is wishing for the downfall of the Islamic Republic, and we're seeking intervention. We view this, what Trump is doing in Iran, as a rescue mission.
And what many of these protesters said is they're hopeful the people will rise up and form a new government, but they're worried they won't be able to do that.
I believe that the intervention of the U.S. and Israel is maybe not the best way, but I believe that this is the only way.
We realize that rising up from within isn't sufficient. The people inside Iran have asked for help, asked for intervention.
Yeah, and they're worried that that may not happen unless there is outside help. 5:52. Let's go out to Long Island, where neighbors in Bayville say they're really concerned about this number of dead birds on the beach. We've gotten some people have emailed us about this. They say it's started weeks ago. Dead birds like geese and seagulls were found scattered across the beach, and they're worried it could all be tied to an outbreak of the avian flu, which we have seen in other places out on Long Island. And they're calling on the Department of Environmental Conservation to come in and check it all out.
Some of them are bony down there, like there's skeletons. I walked from here to the village, and I counted at least 10 of them. Spring is coming. People come down here and sit on the beach if it's a nice day, and no one wants to get sick or anything.
Yeah, well, you definitely don't want to go anywhere near these birds. In fact, that woman said she called the Department of Environmental Conservation, filled out some online form. She's waiting for them to come to the beach to check out these birds. She says she's walked the beach for years and has never seen anything like that.
I would like to see somebody come here and take the test and see what is killing these birds. Is it bird flu?
Kind of sounds like it is, but we don't know for sure.
All of us have been kind of trying to figure out what the process is, or who's going to be the one to take the lead on it. That's a pretty intimidating process to be done, handled, and I think should be done some professionally.
Now, the only comment from the DEC is what to do if you come in contact with these birds. In fact, they say you shouldn't come in contact. That you should, if you really feel like you need to move these birds off the beach, that you should wear gloves and masks. So they're clearly worried that something might be going on there. 5:54 up to Westchester County. There's a renewed push now to reopen the former Indian Point nuclear power plant, drawing some strong reactions from state and local leaders across Westchester County. You have Congressman Mike Lawler, the U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright. They visited the facility in Buchanan, calling for the plant to be brought back out online as a source of electricity for the region because bills are so high. The nuclear plant was closed a number of years ago, so you have people mostly on the left, Westchester County Executive Ken Jenkins, others who do not support reopening the plant. They're worried that it is not safe. People who live in the neighborhood, they're weighing in.
I think it would offset some of the cost, but primarily it would provide us with more power that we need for our computers and other systems that are going on.
I think there's definitely other environmental way to get around this stuff rather than bringing back this old plant the way it was.
Now, Indian Point operated for decades before its closure, supplying power to millions of residents. Any move to restart it, though, would face regulatory hurdles, political resistance, and public scrutiny. A city worker is facing a litany of sex crimes that apparently happened in a New York City school last week.
We know who the Queens Adult Sex Crime Squad arrested and charged with preying on kids. We just don't know much else. Vamshi Guguru arrested Friday, charged with 5 counts of sexual abuse, 4 counts of forcible touching, and 5 counts of endangering. No word on where he worked or his job there. NYPD says the incidents involve victims between 15 and 17 and that they happened in school this week. Police have also released the mugshot of the 36-year-old in hopes that other victims will come forward. In New York, I'm Andrew Whitman.
City Council last week started talking about raising the minimum wage to $30 an hour. And for a while, it looked like it kind of went away because people said, no, that's crazy. So we were asking New Yorkers on the street, because it seems like they're pushing this thing again, what they think about a $30 an hour wage.
It would be better for the economy, but I feel like they're just going to raise the prices for everything going on. So it's like a double-edged sword type of thing.
It is possible, but I think they got to stop raising the prices of everything else, like the rent or the food and everything.
Yeah, it wouldn't be an immediate bump in pay, but if approved, companies with 500 employees or more would have to pay workers $30 an hour by the year 2030. Under the proposal, companies with fewer than 500 workers would have until the year 2032 to match that increase.
Okay, can small businesses afford it?
Businesses, how can they afford paying those high wages? I mean,
New Yorkers, we're going to support local businesses, but at the same time, it's like, can local businesses afford to pay $30 an hour?
Yeah, well, New Yorkers smart enough to figure out that if you pay somebody $30 an hour, that means the goods they sell are going to go a whole lot higher. All right, March Madness gets underway on Wednesday night. St. John's Red Storm, they'll face Northern Iowa on Friday at 7 o'clock at night. Hofstra, another local team, they will take on number 4 seed Alabama. That game is on Friday night. The team there, they are all excited. It's the first time the Hofstra Pride have been in the NCAA tournament in like 20 years. Well, it's 25 years, actually.
I'm just happy for the guys, the program and the university. Like, to share this, to have this moment is unbelievable. We're on a national stage now. This is where you make a name for yourself as a player and as a university.
And LIU has the toughest first-round matchup of the 3 local teams. The Sharks will take on Arizona, the top seed in the West region. That's at Friday afternoon, at 1:35.